He then started clapping Tom's cheeks for 20 minutes before shooting his warm cream pie inside of him. He then zipped up his pants. Tom was jailed for 21 years in prison. After the judge announced his sentence, he broke down crying in the courtroom because he couldn't believe he got this much time and immediately demanded a retrial, but the judge just started laughing while saying, "Guards, remove this man from my sight. Send this filthy animal to prison." Tom didn't want to leave the courtroom because he didn't believe justice had been served, so the guards just handcuffed him and dragged him out of the courtroom as he screamed and shouted. He said things like, "I didn't do it. I was framed. I'm an innocent man. Get off me." Tom's friends and family watched in horror as this was all happening. They were all in shock because they never expected him to go to prison. None of his friends or family ever suspected him of doing any forms of crime, so this was all a total shock to everyone. As far as they knew, Tom was just a hard-working family man. The judge, on the other hand, didn't go easy on Tom because he wanted to send a strong message. A message to any other prison officers who wanted to follow in Tom's footsteps. And yes, you heard right. Tom was a prison officer. He had been a prison officer for over 20 years and was one of the most respected senior officers in the prison. Tom going to prison was a complete shock to everyone once they heard the news. What was an even bigger shock was the fact that Tom got arrested at work, which was a total embarrassment to the force. To make things even worse, the judge sent Tom to the same prison he used to work at. This hurt Tom even more because he would now have to take orders from his old work colleagues, which was embarrassing. Tom was entering a dangerous place where he would be housed on the same wings as the prisoners he used to boss around. Tom was a very strict prison officer who didn't like inmates talking back to him. If he felt an inmate disrespected him, he would give them an electric shock and watch them fall to the ground. Once they fell to the ground, he would then handcuff them and drag them into the nearest cell. He would then get another inmate who was roasting to go in the cell and turn out the inmate who was handcuffed while he watched and laughed. He used inmates like Purple to do his dirty work and got them to turn out inmates who wouldn't listen to him. Even if an inmate looked at him the wrong way, he would get them turned out immediately. After they got their cheeks clapped out, they would all avoid going anywhere near Tom because they knew what would happen to them if Tom felt like they were disrespecting him. Once Tom arrived at the prison, he saw some of his old work colleagues, so he then walked up to them and said hello, but none of them said anything back. They all just looked at him with stone-cold looks on their faces while staying silent. This was so strange. They all looked at him like he was a complete stranger. This really hurt Tom because he really thought these people were actually his friends. He had trained most of the prison officers and even invited some of them to his house for dinner, so he was shocked by the treatment they were giving him. After some time had passed, a prison officer called Joe came to collect Tom to take him to his new wing. The moment Tom saw Joe, he immediately got happy because he knew Joe very well. Joe was his best friend and knew he wouldn't be cold towards him like the others. Joe and Tom used to speak all the time at work. They even went on holidays together, but when Tom said hello, Joe stayed silent and just blanked him. He had the same cold look on his face like the other prison officers. Tom then said, "Joe, it's me, Tom, your best friend. Why are you acting like this towards me? You know me." Joe looked at Tom like a complete stranger and replied with no emotion, saying, "Hold your hands out so I can put these handcuffs on you. I've been told to take you straight to general population because you are experienced in this prison, so you don't need to go to the induction wing. If you don't follow my orders, I will give you an electric shock." Tom was shocked at how Joe was treating him, but he didn't want any trouble, so he just followed Joe's orders. Once Tom was handcuffed, the two set out on their journey. While walking through the prison, they would run into inmates who would recognize Tom. These inmates would hurl abuse and say things like, "Tom, I'm going to catch you slipping and then push my things inside of you." Others would also say things like, "Tom, you are not going to make it out of this prison because I'm going to delete you for what you made Purple do to me." As Tom continued to walk to his new wing, he was now really scared of something happening to him. He really thought his old work colleagues would protect him if he got into any trouble with inmates, but since none of them would talk to him, he was now all alone and had to find a way to protect himself because he now knew no prison officers would help him. He was now all by himself against a prison full of criminals, all waiting for their chance to catch him slipping. Deep down, Tom was no tough guy. He just liked to dominate others. His prison uniform made him tough because he knew the prisoners couldn't do anything to stop him. He really enjoyed handcuffing prisoners and getting other prisoners to turn them out because he thought it was funny. He didn't like prisoners saying no to him and would always make them pay if they did. Prisoners knew not to play with him because they knew what would happen if they did so. Over time, all the prisoners behaved when he was on duty. Once Tom and Joe arrived on the new wing, Tom was shocked because this was the same wing that he used to work on. He was now relieved because he knew the supreme leader of the wing and knew he would be safe from getting turned out. He also used to work for him, which brought in extra money on top of his base salary. Tom used to earn more working for the supreme leader of the wing than he did from his prison salary. He now knew he was going to be in safe hands and had nothing to worry about. He was happy that he was on this wing because he knew he would be safe and nothing would happen to him. The wing he was on was run by a 6-foot-tall black guy called Damien. The wing was split into two types of people, men and women. Once you arrive on the wing, Damien decides what you will be. Tom knew Damien really well, so he knew he would never be told to be a woman of the wing because Damien was his friend. While looking around the wing, Tom couldn't see Damien. All he could see was thirsty men queuing outside of cells waiting for their turns. He could also hear inmates inside of cells screaming for their lives while getting their cheeks clapped out. The sounds of the screams were really loud and echoed across the entire wing. He could hear inmates saying things like, "Please stop, get off of me, I don't want to be a woman of the wing." The other inmates were laughing while saying things like, "Take it, woman, you are my girlfriend, you are my wife." Once Joe and Tom arrived at Tom's new cell, Tom looked into the cell and could see it had 2 bunk beds, which was a massive problem because he was now at an even greater risk of being turned out by his cellmate. While Joe and Tom were in the cell, Joe closed the cell door slightly and then he did something Tom was not expecting him to do. He broke character. He then hugged Tom and said, "It's good to see you, buddy. The prison cameras are watching our every move and we have been told to not speak to you by the higher-ups. You are in grave danger, Tom, so be careful and trust no one. I have put 50 on your canteen so you have some extra money to spend. I will try to help you as much as I can, but I have to go now, Tom. Stay safe." Joe went back into character, having a cold look on his face with no emotion, and then walked out the cell. Tom was confused by what he just witnessed. He thought to himself, "What's going on? Am I in some sort of bizarre alternative universe?" Tom started to wonder who his cellmate was. He hoped it was not a big guy who was looking to turn him out. After 10 minutes had passed, the cell door opened. Tom was shocked because he knew that guy. He remembered when he was first brought onto the wing. Tom's new cellmate walked into the cell with flip-flops on, toenails and fingernails painted. He also had makeup and lipstick on while wearing a blonde wig with a phone in his hand while saying, "Hello Tom, it's good to see you again. I heard you were sent to this prison, but I didn't think you would be sent back to the wing you used to work on." Tom replied, saying, "Hi Dave. It's good to see you too." He then asked what happened to Mo. Dave then said, "Mo's gone. His sales were down. Not many inmates were paying to turn him out because he was all used up. The inmates were all bored of him. They wanted new women on the wing." Damien didn't know what to do until one day this Muslim simp fell in love with Mo and wanted to buy him off Damien so he could wife him. He ended up paying 5 noodles and 5 tunas for Mo. Damien accepted his offer immediately. This would allow him to bring a fresh face on the wing. Mo was on this wing for a long time and inmates just got tired of turning him out, so his sales were down. Dave then gave Tom some makeup, lipstick, nail varnish, flip-flops, booty shorts and a blonde wig. He then said, "Tom, you will replace Mo." Tom then threw everything Dave gave him onto the floor and said, "I'm not getting turned out by anyone. I'm not a woman of the wing. Damien is my friend and would never make me be a woman of the wing. I used to work for him, remember? I was his security. He would never do this to me after all I have done for him." Dave then picked up the items off the floor and tried to give them to Tom again, but he refused to take them. Dave then said, "Tom, you have to take them because Damien told me to give them to you when you arrived in the cell. You are going to be a woman of the wing whether you like it or not, so just accept it." Tom then looked at Dave with absolute disgust and said, "What happened to you? I thought you were one of the guys who was fighting to not be a woman of the wing, but it looks as though you are now a full-blown woman." Dave replied, saying, "I used to try and fight it, but it was no use. The more I tried to fight, the more I got turned out, so I just gave up and accepted the fact that I had to be a woman of the wing. The more I got turned out, the more I started to enjoy it. Now I love getting my cheeks clapped because it feels so good. I'm really happy to be a woman of the wing because it's a much easier life than being a man. I get so much attention being a woman, and the best part about it is the fact that men treat me like a queen. These men crave me and I love it. Since being a woman of the wing, I have so much power. I could offer any man on this wing free cheeks to delete any man of my choice and they would do it without any questions. My job is great too. I just need to get my cheeks clapped by 10 men per day, which all goes to Damien, but all other payments after that I keep all for myself, which is great news. When I leave prison, at least I will have the money to buy a house in cash." Tom looked at Dave in disgust, thinking to himself, "What happened to this guy? This guy's now a full-blown woman of the wing. A few minutes later Tom's cell door opened and Damien walked in with 2 henchmen. Tom got excited and was happy to see him. He also wanted to prove to Dave that Damien was his friend and wasn't going to make him a woman of the wing. Tom then got off his bed and walked over towards Damien with a massive smile on his face. He tried to greet Damien by shaking his hand while saying, "It's good to see you, friend." Damien then developed a sinister look on his face while looking at Tom's hand. He then replied saying, "Friend, we are not friends," and then he slapped Tom's hand away from him. Tom then screamed in agony because he never expected this sort of reaction. Damien then looked at Dave and shouted, "Did you give her the clear plastic bag that I gave you to give to her?" Dave then replied saying, "Yes sir, I did, but she didn't take it. She said she didn't want to be a woman of the wing." Damien's face now changed from having a sinister look to now having an innocent look on his face as he suddenly had a change of heart. He then said to Tom, "You are right, we are friends. What was I thinking trying to make you a woman of the wing? I don't know what came over me. You are a good man and deserve to be treated like one." Dave now had a puzzled look on his face because he didn't understand what was going on. Damien then said to Tom, "I am sorry for disrespecting you. You can have your old job back and be my security again. Now let's celebrate with a drink." Damien then handed Tom a bottled orange juice drink and also got one for himself. He then opened his bottle and started to drink it as Tom watched. Tom now had a big smile on his face and was so happy that Damien was now his friend again. He then opened his bottle of orange juice, but just as he was about to drink it he remembered something. He remembered that time when he went with Damien to a new inmate's cell to get him to be a woman of the wing, but the inmate refused to be a woman, so Damien offered him a bottle of orange juice while saying, "Sorry for the disrespect, I've got this wrong, you can be a man." 2 minutes after the inmate drank the drink he passed out. He ended up being knocked out for a full 24 hours, and in that time all kinds of things happened to him. While he was knocked out, Damien pulled his pants down and bent him over. He then rented him out to all the other inmates on the wing for half price. I lost count how many men clapped his cheeks in that 24-hour period. In the end he ended up waking up while a guy was clapping his cheeks. He tried to run out the cell, but Damien and his henchmen caught him and pinned him down to the bed so the client could finish cream pieing him. The saddest part about it all was the fact that Damien kept all the money generated from renting him out all to himself. He didn't give the guy anything. A few weeks later, the guy who Damien gave the orange juice was wearing booty shorts, makeup, flip-flops, lipstick, and had his toenails and fingernails painted. After realizing what was going on, Tom ran and poured the orange juice down the toilet. Damien then shouted, "Woman, what are you doing?" Tom then said, "I know you too well, Damien. If I had drank this juice it would have knocked me out and you would have had your way with me." Damien's sinister look began to appear again while saying, "You know me too well, Tom." Damien then ordered his henchmen to grab Tom, which they did. His henchmen then bent over Tom and pinned him down on the bed. Damien then said, "You are causing me too much trouble, woman, and you need to be taught a lesson." Damien then pulled his things out and walked over to Tom. Tom then shouted, "No! Get away from me! What are you doing?" He then pulled Tom's pants down and pushed his things inside of Tom. Tom screamed for his life as Damien started to clap his cheeks. Tom's best friend Joe was on the wing and heard the screams, so he rushed over to the cell and saw Tom bent over getting his cheeks clapped out by Damien. Damien was enjoying it and had a massive smile on his face while saying, take it woman." Joe just looked at Tom and could see tears pouring down his face. Joe was powerless to do anything. The only thing he could do was watch as his best friend was getting taken to Pound Town. Damien then clapped Tom's cheeks for 1 hour and then took his tings out of Tom and sprayed his cream pie all over Tom's face and inside of Tom's mouth. Tom was traumatized and humiliated by what just happened. After Damien was finished, he pulled his pants up and said to Tom, "You are a woman of the wing now, so you better listen to me or I will get my henchmen to pin you down again and I will get the entire wing to clap your cheeks while I watch and laugh." Damien then turned around and left Tom's cell with his 2 henchmen. Tom just looked at Joe and said, "I thought we were friends. Why didn't you help me?" Joe then said, "Tom, you are no longer a prison officer anymore, so I can't help you. Besides, Damien was just clapping your cheeks, so it's okay. The best man won. Remember, we are in prison, so if a man takes your cheeks, it's all okay. You can just get him back by pinning him down and clapping his cheeks the next time you see him. These are the rules, remember. You was the one who trained me and this is what you taught me. I have also seen you say this same thing to other prisoners." Tom then said, "I thought we were friends, but you just watched me get turned out and didn't do anything to help me." Joe then replied saying, "I can't change the rules, Tom. This is prison." Joe then ran out the cell and left the wing. Dave then walked over with a wet wipe to clean the cream pie off of Tom's face. He then said to Tom, "Just listen to Damien. There is no way to escape this. Once you are assigned to be a woman of the wing, the decision is final. Just accept it and move on with your life. After a while you will get used to getting your cheeks clapped and it will start to feel good. Now let me get you all dolled up so you can start working on the wing." With nowhere to run and nowhere to hide, Tom had no other option but to just accept his fate by becoming a woman of the wing. Dave gave Tom a hand to get ready, which took an hour to do, but when they were finished, Tom was all dolled up looking like a supermodel. He had on booty shorts, makeup, lipstick, a blonde wig with his toenails and fingernails painted white. Damien then returned with his henchman and saw Tom sitting on the lower bunk with his blonde wig on. Damien was impressed and said to Tom, "Girl, you look amazing. You are now a beautiful supermodel." He then grabbed his phone and took a picture of Tom and then sent out a broadcast message to all the inmates in the prison saying, "Ex-prison officer Tom is now ready for service. We have a special offer for only half price, but the offer ends today, so you have to be quick." 10 minutes later, while still in the cell, Damien, Tom and Dave heard a loud stampede of men rushing, which was getting louder and closer. A prison officer opened the entrance door to the wing. A stampede of desert-thirsty men then rushed onto the wing looking for some action. Damien then smiled while looking at Tom. He then said, "Your customers are all here, so go and call them over. Go and make me some money, woman." Tom then got up and looked outside the cell but was shocked by what he saw. The entire wing was filled with men who were all roasting and looking for some action. He was now scared because he didn't realize so many men would come from other wings just to come and clap his cheeks. He just didn't understand what was so special about him. Damien then walked out the cell and said to all the inmates, "Don't worry, everyone will get a turn, so form a line." The inmates all listened to Damien and got in line, but something else happened. Someone else just entered the wing, a large figure who was not waiting in line and continued to walk closer. Damien shouted at the figure saying, "Get in line if you want a turn," but the large figure didn't listen and just continued to walk closer until Damien could see who it was. The large man then got to the front of the line and pushed in. He then said, "I'm going first." Damien could now see who this man was. It was Purple. Damien then said to Dave, "Get out the cell because we have our first customer. Purple is not paying half price. He is getting it free of charge because he is a friend." Purple then squeezed Damien's muscles and said, "Thanks for bringing this woman to the wing." He then walked in the cell with a massive smile on his face. Tom then looked at Purple and said, "I'm so glad to see you, Purple. Thanks for coming to save me." Purple now looked confused as he said to Tom, "Save you? I didn't come here to save you. I came here to turn you out." Tom then said to Purple, "Please don't do this, Purple. I helped you so much. I handcuffed so many inmates and let you turn them out. I did a lot for you, Purple. Please return the favor and help me escape from this wing." Purple then started laughing while saying, "You don't get it. You just don't get it, do you? You are a white boy in prison. This makes you the most precious thing inside of prison. You are worth more than food and water. You are worth more than gold, so you will give me what I came here for, and I don't want to hear any more whining from you." Purple then started to squeeze Tom's muscles with a massive smile on his face. He was really enjoying it. He then threw Tom on the bed and put him on his back. He then took out his tings, but when Tom saw Purple's tings he was shocked because Purple was huge. Tom was now even more scared because tings like that would destroy his insides. As Purple got closer, Tom said, "We should talk about this. I can pay you money to leave me alone." Purple laughed and slapped Tom while saying, "I don't want your money, I want your cheeks." He then got on the bed and put Tom's legs behind his shoulders and looked into Tom's eyes. Tom, not knowing what to do, he just said to Purple, "Please don't hurt me. Can you go slow? Please go easy on me." Purple ignored Tom's request and just pushed his tings inside of Tom. He then showed no mercy and started clapping Tom's cheeks. He pounded Tom's cheeks for 1 hour before shooting his warm cream pie inside of Tom. Tom was now wounded on the bed with cream pie dripping out of him. Purple then got up and walked out of the cell shaking Damien's hand while saying, "Thanks. That was good." He then gave Damien 2 packs of noodles and 2 packs of tuna for his service and then walked off back to his own wing. Damien then walked back in the cell with a massive smile on his face saying, "Tom, you did good." While Tom was still on the bed, wounded Damien said this to him, "Tom, I know what you did and this is why I am punishing you for your actions. I know you went to the news media trying to expose what was really going on in this prison. You tried to sell your story to them, which would shut my entire operation down. In fact, your story would shut this entire prison down. If word got out that I was renting inmates in this prison, I would be finished, so that's why I got a prison officer to plant those bricks in your car and blame it all on you. I then got him to call the police and have you arrested. Tom then said it was you who framed me. Damien then replied saying yes, it was me, and this is your punishment for your actions. You are now going to spend the next 21 years of your life getting your cheeks clapped out by different men every night and every day. You will be doing a good job because women like you help by lowering the violence in prisons. Once inmates finish clapping cheeks, the last thing they want to do is fight other inmates. They would rather lay down and get some sleep, so girls like you are the most important part in the prison ecosystem. You help to keep prisons safe, so I want to thank you in advance for your service, because you are going to bring a lot of men's stress levels down while earning me a fortune, because you are my new cash cow. Inmates won't get enough of being able to clap an ex-prison officer's cheeks. They will call it payback for all the wrong you have done to them, even though you did it on my command. I'm going to go now, so enjoy the experience and have as much fun as you can. Damien then walked out the cell laughing, but then something else happened. Another inmate walked in the cell. It was a 6'2" white guy who demanded Tom get on his knees and suck his tings. Tom, now feeling defeated, just followed what the inmate wanted and got on his knees to unzip the inmate's trousers. He then started sucking the inmate's tings while tears fell from his eyes. The inmate was loving every moment of it and now wanted some more action, so he just bent Tom over and pushed his tings inside of him. He then started clapping Tom's cheeks for 20 minutes before shooting his warm cream pie inside of him. He then zipped up his pants and walked out the cell a happy customer. Tom just laid on the bed thinking to himself, is this what my life is going to be like for the next 21 years? I have lost my house. I have lost my wife. I have no life. I can't believe this is happening to me. I can't believe I just got turned out in prison.